Okay, we had the new parts come through from the factory. We'll get them on the car ahead of FP1.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 104 today for the Brazilian Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But head into the Brazilian Grand Prix then, we have that rear downforce upgrade finally on the car, so our car is back on pace and technically the fastest car now on the grid by literally a pixel there you can see on the chart ahead of Renault. But this is a championship deciding race. We can technically round out not only the Constructors' Championship, but also the Drivers' Championship as well. So we could leave Sao Paulo today, at the end of the episode, with Ferrari being World Champions once more, doing the double Constructors, and for us getting our first World Championship title with Ferrari, and overall our third World Championship. But we have to try and beat Carlos Sainz and both Renaults in the Championship. Going to need Sebastian Vettel to be right up there with me. I'm not sure on the permutations, but I think basically anything above P3 should be safe for me to get the Championship and the Drivers. I'm not too sure about the logistics of the Constructors. That might be a little bit more fiddly because there's obviously the other two, Hülkenberg and Vettel, right in there. But basically, we'll just go for the maximum. We got a 1-2 at Mexico last race, which was absolutely bonkers considering where we qualified. So, you know, anything's possible, and, you know, we've got a great team spirit, I feel, coming off the back of that. Sao Paulo, though, Brazil, it's going to be a difficult one. Brazil's always difficult for me versus the AI. I just don't gel very well around this circuit as a whole, especially through Sector 1. The Center S, I never go quick, but we make it into Q2 nonetheless, despite that, and hopefully I will be making it all the way through to the top 10 shootout, really. But there's going to be some rain, maybe, towards the end of this qualifying session, so we'll have to be careful of that, I think, in Q3. But Q2 should be pretty straightforward for us. A little bit wide here and there, a bit of understeer, because I have gone for a little bit of a lower rear wing with that rear downforce upgrade to make sure we're punchy in a straight line for the race. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue for qualifying as well, because we'll obviously see the benefits of that in a straight line as we go towards the line, across the line in Q2. Not much of an improvement on that second flying lap, to be honest, but it's still good enough. Vettel just about makes it through on soft tyres, so Vettel might have a very good strategy lined up, having the harder compound tyre to start on the starting grid. But both Red Bull cars, surprisingly, don't make it through into the top 10 shootout once again, so Red Bull have really slumped down at the end of this season, really, and you can see McLaren and Renault looking very strong indeed. So this definitely is going to be a tough old fight for the Renaults with us at this race, but the Red Bulls at least won't be there. But the McLarens may also feature as well, Fernando, Alonso and Van Dorn. But we move through into Q3 then. You can see, if you look close enough at the chassis of the car and the halo, the spits of rain are coming down. The rain is streaming down that halo, and so it is a little bit slippery and damp out here, so we have to make the most of it early on at the very beginning of this Q3 session. But like I said, it's already been raining since the very start of Q3, and so this is going to be a little mistake from me, going a bit wide on the curb, then to the grass, and that's just going to be basically a passenger moment for me then, spinning around, breaking our front left wing, and so a little bit dazed after that crash, a little bit wide, and then you can see there, just as soon as I got on that curbing, the curbing probably held some water there, pushed me left onto the grass. Once I hit the grass, it was basically just like I said, a passenger in that little incident. So front wing broken. You can see my engine's a little bit warm there, so we'll have to look at that maybe. But we're going to come in now, and we have to make a change onto, well, basically, I don't know, probably the same set of tyres actually in the end, but we have to wait a little bit for damage on the front wing. We're going to use the same set of super soft tyres that I had one set left. That's only 4% worn, so I thought it'd be okay. But now I've only got 2 minutes left in the session, but the rain's just been continuously coming down as I've had to pit in. I didn't get a chance to finish my lap time there. That would have been an okay lap. It wasn't the best lap, but it would have been, you know, better than right now, because at the moment, as we come through, it's just been a horrendous time because the track is now way too damp. Alonso is on provisional pole, but as we come up the hill now, a little bit calmer through that left-hander that was than we did earlier, making no mistakes this time. But we come across the line with DRS open. You're about to see it just really is not going to be anywhere near what we need to be, and so we're going to finish up in P10. Thankfully for me, though, Carlos Sainz has also had issues, so he's down in P9 on the same exact row as me on the grid for tomorrow's race. So that's the only one thing for me. For the driver's fight, I can have the opportunity to overtake Carlos Sainz straight away in the race, maybe, and Vettel is right up there with Nico Hülkenberg. So respectively, that's not too bad. Vettel can take care of Hülkenberg, I can take care of Sainz, and so we could still get both of them at the very start of the race, me and Vettel, and be kind of good for the championship. Obviously, it's a long race, there's a lot of laps, so anything anything can happen. Vettel's going to be starting on the soft tyres, and we don't know at Sao Paulo. There's always the chance of rain here in Brazil, unfortunately. But really gutting way to start the kind of race weekend where we could seal the championship with a kind of well, it wasn't a big mistake. It was a small minor error going a little bit wide on the curbing, but then it turned into a big one because then the water chucked me out wide, and then I broke a little bit of my wing and couldn't even finish the lap time then, and also ruined my tyres a little bit. So, we'll put that behind us, take that and just set it aside. That's yesterday. Now as we're going into Sunday, let's just go ahead to the race and just think nothing but trying to get the maximum we can from this race, just like we did at Mexico. Let's hit it. Let's go to the grid.
Where there's a will, well, there's a way. And nowhere has that fact been better demonstrated over the years than here at Interlagos. Remember Senna winning while fighting a gearbox that was jammed in 6th? 5 Drivers' Championship deciders in a row between 2005 and 2009. And of course, the passionate Brazilian fans packing the grandstands to capacity every year. And they're not about to stop now. We're racing today then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7-mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat-out Sector 3. And that gives us our best passing opportunity down into Turn 1. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. Everything's on the line here today and the title hangs in the balance. So how do you think they'll be coping with all that pressure?
I think as long as they keep their mind on the task and not its historical significance, they'll be just fine. This is a race just like any other. You do the best you can and accept that sometimes things are going to happen outside of your control. If they can approach today with that attitude, the pressure shouldn't be a problem.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Fernando Alonso has a good view of Turn 1 from his pole position slot, with Nico Hülkenberg alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Sainz, the engineer, Bottas, Verstappen, and Marcus Ericsson, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Brendan Hartley, and Ocon, Grosjean, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Sergei Sorokin. Stroll and Pierre Gasly rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alright, so here we are on the grid, elevated up into P7 thanks to a lot of grid penalties. So me and Carlos Sainz actually both move up as a unit together. So he's P6, I'm P7. So it doesn't really affect the actual championship fight. I still have to overtake him, but at least both of us are a little bit further ahead. So that might help us get towards that 3rd place. Because I think, like I said, I think the maths works out. If I get 3rd place, no matter what, I should get the championship. But for the constructors, that's a little bit more up in the air in terms of it also depends on Vettel and Hülkenberg, of course, like I said. But strategy-wise, we're going to move to 2 different sets of soft tyres there instead of 2 sets of supers, because I remember from the previous seasons the super soft tyres just don't really last that long, at least for me, versus the AI around here. So I'm going to be a bit more comfortable with the kind of harder compound tyre for most of the Grand Prix then. It's very overcast conditions, gloom and doom here, so not kind of fine sunny conditions to maybe win a championship today, but that's not going to matter. It won't matter if we cross the line as winners. So we psych ourselves up then for another championship decider here. This time it's not at Abu Dhabi, actually, it's at Brazil, so I don't know, Brazil's chucked up a lot of crazy races in the past, so I'm just kind of nervous a little bit of what could happen here, but also excited to see if we can pull this off here at Sao Paulo, 1 race early than Abu Dhabi. So let's head into this then and find out after this episode if I'm going to be a 3-time world champion on F1 2018 career mode. To 5 red lights for the Brazilian Grand Prix, and we're underway from P7 on the grid, my lucky number 7. Let's hope it's lucky for me today in the race. We're going to try and move down the inside of Carlos Sainz immediately to maybe overtake him. Meanwhile, Sebastian Vettel is making a move on Hülkenberg for the race lead potentially, as well as Alonso there, of course. A 3-way scrap between the Spaniard and the 2 Germans. We've been unable to make a move on Sainz. Workout in the center S as now Hülkenberg maybe pressurizes Alonso for P1, but Alonso ultimately keeps that then. So Alonso, Hülkenberg, Vettel in 3rd. Leclerc in an amazing P4 yet again, dragging that Sauber up the order. But of course today we will be also focusing on Vettel as well as myself, because both us Ferrari cars need to do well if we want to try and seal the Constructors' title as well as the drivers for me individually. But for now, we stare at the back of the gearbox of Carlos Sainz, and we have to try and do some work to actually catch up to him. So now on the end of lap 2, on towards lap 3, this will be as we cross the line, as we go up the hill to that new lap. We're going to have DRS on this next lap, but for now we just have to use overtake mode and rich mix simply with the slipstream. But the car very slippery in a straight line. I've got a lower rear wing, remember, for this race especially to make overtake. So here we go now, very punchy into turn 1. Lock up on the front tyre though, so Sainz able to keep it through on the second part of the corner, but we're still there and demanding some space. And now here we go, rear flap open, got DRS. Somehow Carlos Sainz has also got DRS, even though the car ahead is miles ahead. But we dive around the outside now, but we've gone deep and now on the grass a little bit there, and Sainz pulled it back through. So Sainz doing a very good bit of defensive work here so far at the Brazilian Grand Prix. He's going to brake check me up the hill, and so we have to lift off there. That's it. That invites Valtteri Bottas now on my inside. The Finn comes down out of nowhere now to overtake me. We're going to have to fight him back now. We're hammer and tong, neck and neck, such little space in between us, but we're going to switch this now to the inside and try and squeeze him out on the next right-hander, and we'll get back up into P7 crucially. But Carlos Sainz, wow, what a defensive drive that was, and you can tell almost in a way he really wants to keep this championship fight alive to Abu Dhabi potentially. But now we're going to move on later. There's a fight between Van Dorn and Leclerc, and also Vettel and Hulkenberg making a dive bomb down the inside. Vettel goes and tries to get second place there, but Hulkenberg is going to keep that P2 for now as Fernando Alonso streaks away in P1. But going back to this fight now between Van Dorn and Leclerc, really great fight, and this is actually going to pay dividends for us because it's going to hold up Carlos Sainz as well, and so we're going to come flying in. But these two still side by side now for almost half a lap. This will be 2/3 of a lap if they continue like this. They jockey for position up and down, but Van Dorn will eventually get that up and make that overtake up into P4. Leclerc P5, Sainz P6, and now look at this, tucked up behind once again behind Carlos Sainz. So thank you very much, Leclerc and Van Dorn, for fighting so hard, because you've given Sainz enough dirty air that's allowed me to get in the fight here. So on lap 4 onto lap 5, sending a purple lap time in sector 2 there. So now let's use the speed we've got. We know we have the engine power in the car, DRS open, overtake mode, but it's going to be a big old scrap because Leclerc will come back at Van Dorn. Yellow flags up ahead as we set a fast lap of the Grand Prix there. Leclerc though on the outside, it's a fantastic move on Van Dorn as yellow flags are up ahead for a car there on the right hand side. It's Alonso. Alonso is out of the Grand Prix maybe for a second time in a row now as we're trying to find some space, but it's 3 wide between Sainz, Van Dorn and Leclerc. Sainz has just made a fantastic double overtake there. Carlos Sainz, so crucial that move was for him, and now we're trying to desperately make a move on Leclerc down the inside. He makes it easy for us there, but now we have to tuck in behind Van Dorn, and with Alonso stricken there on the right hand side, very dangerous spot to be in. The full safety car will be called out then at that moment in time, but so unfortunate for Fernando Alonso there. He had a DNF at Mexico, a DNF here, such a roller coaster of emotions for him because he got 2 wins in a row and now 2 DNFs in a row. Life can't get any harder for Fernando Alonso, my former teammate from season 3 in the McLaren there. But what a scrap that was. 3 wide between Sainz, Van Dorn and Leclerc. Absolutely fantastic. I couldn't go anywhere. Literally, they had gone from one side of the circuit to the other side of the circuit. There was no room for me to dive it down the inside or outside. And in the end, Sainz, fair play, made a fantastic double pass. But now, under the safety car, I pit, and you can see no one else was there. It was basically a ghost town in the pit lane. So I'm the only one that's taken this earlier pit stop, albeit onto a set of soft tyres, because effectively it's a free pit stop for me. I was going to go into softs anyway. This now just means I have to stretch both my soft tyres out a little bit longer. But that really shouldn't be an issue because the soft tyres already were going to be a bit of an overkill in terms of a safety net for me in this strategy. So here we go now, going green, a bit awkward because the cars ahead had gone green, but not fully yet for us at the back here. So now I can now try and overtake Sorokin as we go on to lap number 8. This is on the left-hand side, and there's going to be a big domino effect, and so we make a lunge down 4, 5, nearly 5. We make a 4-man overtake up into P14 there. Just obviously, like I said, you know, all the cars braking for each other into turn 1 off that restart there was allowing me to just dive it down the inside, so make a very amazing quadruple overtake in 1 turn. And now we dive into the inside of Magnussen. Of course, remember, I'm on softs here. These guys are on worn tyres, albeit super softs or softs. they're going to be a bit worn compared to my fresh soft tyres here, so I've got much more grip at the moment. And also remember, all these cars are all midfield to lower tier cars, and this Ferrari is a lot better, so we can just fly past these guys. Now this comes the challenge. Hamilton might be a bit trickier, to be honest, because the Mercedes car has improved quite well in the last couple of races, especially this season. So a big double lock-up to stop us hitting the back of him as he gets slowed down by the Red Bull up ahead. And so I'm just trying to find some space, a bit of a spark flying away on the rear end as we make a little bit of contact, but we find some space on the outside there, banging tyres as Hamilton really goes quite defensive to the last corners here. We're going to have to try and have a bit of a drag race now up the hill, and the Mercedes engine is pulling quite well for Hamilton. We're going to tuck in though with slipstream, no match for us now with overtake mode. Hamilton squeezes a little bit more on the left hand side there initially, but now he's going to give that place up. We're up into P11, and so we're making some very fine progress here this afternoon here as we now move on towards lap 11, chasing onto Dan Ricciardo. DRS available for us, overtake mode and rich mix, and so this should be pretty calm. The Red Bull cars, it has just been going backwards and backwards pretty much since the beginning of the season. Like, it sounds weird to say, because remember, Ricciardo was leading the championship at the very start after 5 rounds, and now the Red Bull is nowhere. It's pretty much become a midfield team, as just as slow or fast, if you will, as Toro Rosso and Mercedes. So they've really faltered. I guess they're putting all their eggs into next season for the allocation for the engine regulation change, perhaps, maybe. And so they're kind of hoping for better hopes and new pastures green in season 6. But we now move on to lap 12, chasing after Verstappen this is. And 2 cars just made a pit stop there, so up into P6, and it could be P5 soon enough. Wider line and a sharper exit to that corner, and Verstappen is completely blindsided there. He didn't even see us in the mirrors because we made that move so well, and he hits us a little bit on the exit, and we basically make a mockery of him on the exit and traction, and so we're up into P5 very easily. So a very swift and actually really satisfying move that was. You know, it's that kind of wider line, and it's the moment where you know you're going to make it stick is when you go mid-apex and you can see you're getting that exit. It's so satisfying. And now we send one down the inside of Marcus Ericsson there, and with 2 other people in the pit stops, we're up into P2 now. Sebastian Vettel leads the way. He's been on those tyres from the start of the Grand Prix, remember. He started on soft tyres, and so he's still leading the way now after other people made pit stops. There's a 3-wide moment for the 2 Red Bulls, and I think that's Ericsson maybe fighting away with the 2 Red Bulls, and Verstappen just gets ahead. Ricciardo does as well, but more importantly, out of nowhere now, after that safety car, it's a 1-2 for Ferrari, so it's looking very, very good for us right now. I don't know where the Renaults are, and of course, me and Vettel still have pit stops to make. Right now, lap 14, Vettel comes in, so now I am the only one leading the race now for Ferrari. Vettel makes his pit stop, and he's going to go down the order, and I don't know where Renault actually are. I can't see them on the mini-app yet. But for now, Ricciardo and Verstappen are the ones that trail me. But eventually, as we move on through this Grand Prix, Verstappen's made a pit stop on lap 16. Ricciardo's going to make a pit stop right now, lap 17, onto lap 18. And so, as we are in P1, it's going to be P2, Nico Hülkenberg. And P3, I think, should be Carlos Sainz, with Vettel not too far behind in P4. So, very nice and poetic that the 2 teams fighting for the Constructors' Championship are all 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very, very nice to see. And here comes Vettel now, trying to do some work for Ferrari. DRS open, a dive bomb round the outside of Carlos Sainz then. He'll also do me a favour, of course, pushing down Sainz for the Drivers' Championship there. Vettel on the outside, sparking away on the curbs, but Sainz puts up a very good fight on the outside, up the hill, into Sector 2, and he's going to keep that position for now, but Vettel tried his hardest there. So we're going to have to keep an update on that and see how Vettel and Sainz progress, because that's going to be very important for both championship fights potentially. But of course, we have to make a pit stop, so we'll have to also see how things shake out for everyone. But meanwhile, now, I said the 2 Red Bulls made pit stops. They're both on medium tyres, woefully down the order now, behind the likes of Toro Rossos, the McLaren, the Saubers. So Red Bull really losing pace. And now, oh my God, I thought that was a bit of puff of smoke, actually, and it is. And Ricciardo is puffing away, so the perfect time to cut onto Ricciardo then. Absolutely amazing timing on the replay camera, because Ricciardo is smoking away. The Renault engine goes up in flames for Daniel Ricciardo, and so that's a DNF for the Aussie man, and that is going to spark another full safety car, a second safety car in this Grand Prix, and so now that might just open us up for a free pit stop again. So we're going to make 2 free pit stops in this race, basically, because we'll come in for another set of soft tyres, obviously. Lap 19 was a little bit earlier than I wanted to, but obviously we're going to have 2 laps under the safety car, so this will be perfect for me. So the F1 gods are looking down on me here with 2 effective, almost free pit stops, onto a set of soft tyres. Now we go, and so this is going to be looking very good for us. Of course, now Hülkenberg inherits the race lead. It'll be Carlos Sainz in second, Vettel in third. So there's a caveat that Vettel will need to do some work, hopefully, to overtake Carlos Sainz. And also, I need to do some work to get back up to the front. But this is looking pretty damn good for now, because I think Carlos Sainz and Vettel as well were on super soft tyres. So I think they might need to make a second stop in this race. So a very odd strategy for Vettel, to be honest, but we'll see how it pans out. And we actually get out just behind Carlos Sainz, who did make another pit stop, actually. My bad. Sainz must have pit on the very lap that the safety car came out. But of course, by that point, I had already crossed the pit lane for another lap, basically. So I had to go for one more entire lap and loop, whereas Carlos Sainz had an immediate dive into the pit, so that's how he's managed to jump us. So actually, our championship rivals got even luckier than we have. So it's going to be a straight fight then. Me v Sainz for P6 here, and then Vettel and Hülkenberg up in the lead for 1 and 2. But obviously, I don't know where Vettel's going to come in terms of if he needs to make another pit stop. But this just got very tasty indeed, and all because of Daniel Ricciardo. Like I said, the man's just been literally punched when he's already down. He was leading the championship earlier on, and Red Bull have just completely let him down this entire season, really. But we now move our minds on to the restart of this safety car then. 15 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Hülkenberg leads the way from Vettel, myself in P7, Carlos Sainz, our main championship rival, in P6 up ahead. So the last 15 laps then to decide this World Championship for both drivers and constructors. We weave around to get the tyre temperatures up as high as we can. We go green there, and Hülkenberg's bolted, so caught a little bit of napping there, but then immediately the kind of slipstream of our Ferrari car is going to kick in a little bit. We're already catching Sainz in a straight line, but can we make a move to the inside? I don't think so, as now we've got Vettel, though, who does make a move to the inside there. He's on the outside of the second part of the center S. Vettel going for the lead of this Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff there from Seb. He's going to get right in the slipstream of Hülkenberg, move to the left-hand side, dive it down the inside there. No DRS, remember, pure slipstream, and Vettel is going to get the elbows out on the exit, and unlike previously before the safety car, he is going to make this through. I think he'll have the guts to hang it around the outside. Yes, he will, and Vettel now leads the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Sainz held up behind the Red Bull, and so we make a very tasty move on the outside there. This is for the championship, basically, up into P6. Thank you very much, Max Verstappen, there, for holding up Carlos Sainz with dirty air. And also remember, soft tyre v medium for myself versus Sainz, so that was also a grip advantage in terms of the tyre compounds, and we'll have the same advantage on Verstappen here. So can we catch him napping a little bit? We're gaining the time in the left-hander. We're going to send one down the inside, lock up on the front right, just to try and keep this thing slowed down. Verstappen now will fight us, so he helped us with Carlos Sainz, but he won't help us with himself, because of course he's doing his own race, and so it's a drag race now as we go on towards lap 23. Sainz also will slipstream us. It's going to be 3 wide potentially here as we go on into turn 1. It looks like it's almost 4 wide as Van Dorn sends one down the inside of Verstappen, maybe nearly, but we're going to hang this round and just about survive that and get up into P4, as I think one other person made a pit stop then, and so it's just Gasly ahead of us, but Gasly, Bottas I should say, just behind Vettel and Hülkenberg. But Sainz now is going to try and make a move to the outside there, but in the end he can't actually pull alongside, and so we're going to maintain P4. So it's myself in P4, Sainz P5, Verstappen and Van Dorn will be the cars behind them. Bottas and Gasly will come in for their last pit stops of the Grand Prix, and so now, and also Hülkenberg as well, and so I'm up into P2. It's now magically once again become a 1-2 for Ferrari, but I think Vettel has one more pit stop to make, just like Hülkenberg just did then, clearly. But we're going to continue on now, scrapping away, and this is now Van Dorn and Sainz now 3 wide again into turn 1, but Van Dorn can't keep it through, so it's just me and Sainz now side by side, but we once again have the advantage through the center S actually for once, and we're going to maintain P2. But Sainz now, he'll have DRS, I do not. We have overtake mode in Rich Mix though, so we're going to try our best to defend to the inside there. There he goes on the outside, but he's locked up badly, and just like the Mexican Grand Prix, Carlos Sainz repeats a mistake, just like he did in Mexico. A bad lock-up, lost like 5 positions at Mexico. This time he only loses 2 positions, but the championship pressure is getting to the man who's never been in a championship fight before, remember, and you can tell because it is getting to him. That's him crumbling under pressure, and so it's going to be Sebastian Vettel making a pit stop now from the lead of the Grand Prix. He's done some fantastic work though. He's been literally electrifying and the fastest man outright on this circuit, so this is going to be uber close between myself and Sebastian, because I've been actively trying to back up Van Dorn and Verstappen, because if we can guarantee the 1-2, that seals both championships for us. And so here we goes, swinging through the left-hander, and this is going to be close. Look at this, the absolute scene side by side. Our front tyres were literally interlocked, and now Vettel sends one down the inside. I tried to defend the position on the outside, but he's got the better line, and remember, you look at the top left, he's got the better tyres as well, super soft tyres for him, so at the same time, there's a good reason why he made that look so easy, but at the same time, I didn't put up a major fight, because I've got to think, think smart here. There's no point me fighting Vettel now. Second place is good enough for me in this championship, and for him to get first place also seals then the constructors for us if we get a 1-2 here for Ferrari, and does it in some style. Like, come on, we got a 1-2 at Mexico last race, and now we do a 1-2 again. 2 1-2s in a row. This time the other way around. He gets first place, I get second, and that will seal not only the constructors, but will also guarantee my Drivers' World Championship. So there was no point fighting him, and actually, if you look on through the Grand Prix, I tried my best to overtake Mo, Rich Mix, try to push hard, but ultimately he was on the faster compounded tyre as well, so he just waltzed away from me, as I also waltzed away from Verstappen. So the Ferraris, we were in a world of our own. The car was working stupendously. It was magical almost, and so it's going to be such a poetic ending to the championship fight here, because it's going to be, like I said, 2 1-2s in a row, both from very weird circumstances. Mexico, both of us were down the order. This race, the 2 safety cars, I was out of order. Vettel with this very bonkers strategy to pit twice when he didn't need to. But it's all come through today. He will win the Grand Prix. I'll come in second place, and that will not only seal the Constructors' Championship for Scuderia Ferrari, so 2 times in a row Ferrari are going to be world champions, but now this will seal my 3rd World Championship in F1 2018 career mode. And so there's only one final thing to say. You know what it's going to be. It's going to be grazie ragazzi, Forza Ferrari. That's title number 3, baby.
Fantastic drive, and it means you're Drivers' World Champion. What a result. Enjoy it.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. So, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
Absolutely unbelievable to do it in that style. 2 1-2s in a row, Mexico and Brazil. Both really fun races as well to do personally from my perspective in terms of the actual racing had at both races. Absolutely wonderful, and we seal our 3rd World Championship. It was really gutting to miss out last season to Hülkenberg in such a small margin, and we made up for it. We had such a rocky season, to be fair. 3 DNFs, including one which is technically a disqualification, but we had 6 wins this season to make up for it, and I would happily take 3 DNFs to have 6 wins like that. It's the most wins we've had in the season so far, and it's been such a thrilling season, up and down, up and down, up and down, and we seal our 3rd championship, and also Ferrari's 2nd Constructors' Championship, at least with me. I can't remember if they actually won one before as an AI team, but with me, they've won 2 now in a row, so they have me to thank for that, but I'm sure the team rep won't be that high anyway. And talking about that, we'll look at that pretty damn soon, because let's go to the interviews then and round out this episode.
Good day today. Tell us about it from your perspective. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Got to compliment the Ferrari power unit in the back of this car. It's obviously come in clutch so many times this season, and this one especially so as well.
You must be thrilled to be up on the podium.
Thrilled to be on the podium, but I was expecting it, because also I had to get it to get the championship. So I'm going to go with that answer on the left-hand side then.
That was a close finish. How are things between the 2 of you?
Apart from Spa, there's been no real major issue with Vettel this season, so I'm going to, go respectful with that answer and go on the left.
It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it?
And then simply no comment with this answer. There's no point answering. Either way, it'll be a -1 for anyone involved, really.
Appreciate your time.
So there we have it, guys, the end of the episode, and we get handed our World Drivers' Championship trophy as well as the Constructors as well. So our third World Championship, not in a row, so we're not being as dominant as we were on F1 2017, but still, we're a triple World Champion now, and our fourth Constructors title. Obviously, we got one with Haas, one with McLaren, and two with Ferrari now. Very, very good record tally in terms of a team player I am there, getting my team's Constructors' Championships, even if I can't get the drivers last season and season 4. But we made up for it. We got revenge on Renault and did it this time in some style with 2 1-2s in a row. Fantastic job. And like I said, it's been such a crazy record this season. I mean, if you look across that tally, Carlos Sainz actually was way more consistent than I was, and he actually got a lot less bad luck than I did. I got a lot of bad luck this season, and so we prevailed with it all and come through, and ultimately that will make me a stronger driver coming through all that bad luck this season in Season 5, going into Season 6. But now that we seal the championship, we can finally spend some resource points on the engine reset. But of course, more than likely I will be leaving Ferrari at the end of the season, so I'm going to play this a little bit tactically. I'm going to tactically purchase some minor upgrades on the engine for next year's Ferrari car, obviously adapting them so they keep those upgrades for next year, but I'm going to do them towards the middle end of the tree, so they have to, whatever they do, they have to work towards that part of the tree still and still unlock other parts of the tree. So playing it quite tactically, but still also helping them out in a way for next year, because of course if they were an AI team they would be adapting their parts. It's unfair for me not to adapt the parts as a player, because otherwise it just unfairly hinders them for next year. But obviously I don't actually have a lot of points to actually play with anyway. I've only done 3 upgrades and I'm already out of resource points because we had to push this Ferrari car so hard to actually make sure it kept ahead of Renault to actually seal the championship. So it's really it's not a fault of my own to actually not have this many points to adapt the next year's car. But that's going to be the end of this episode then. The third World Championship is wrapped up, guys. So if you guys did enjoy that episode and this entire Season 5, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you aren't around here, do get subscribed for weekly full-on content. Of course, next episode we wrap this season up with Abu Dhabi. It's obviously a dead race, but there's still points up for grabs. It's still going to be hopefully quite a fun race with Renault v Ferrari v McLaren, hopefully, if Alonso keeps in. And then of course, next episode we'll be wrapping up what happens in the season. Do I re-sign with Ferrari? Do I go to a new team? What's going to happen? I'll leave that all up in the air and up to question for next episode tomorrow, guys, so be sure to tune in then. But till then, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.